happening today. You all know the iconic 90s movie Home Alone. You know the one.
Of course I know Home Alone. I think it's an ageless movie.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Everybody has seen it at least a dozen times.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Well, a bit of a twist today, as Home Alone is now paired with new commercials featuring adult Kevin McAllister. Yes, even Kevin grew up. It'll teach you a little bit about how to navigate conversations on aging.
Now, yes, the event is a part of a Home Instead's Home But Not Alone campaign designed to help families have conversations with their aging loved ones about their safety and future. New this morning, WGEM's Sydney Lyerly is live in Quincy to explain why these conversations are important and what they might look like. Sydney, good morning.
Kyle, good morning. Later today, you can watch Home Alone here at the Quincy Senior Center while learning a little bit about how to have those difficult conversations with aging family members. It's part of the event by Home Instead, which is a company based in Nebraska that's an in-care home company for senior citizens, but they do have a location in Quincy, and one Quincy Home Instead official says it is important to have conversations with your aging family members about their safety, health, and living arrangements. She recommends having these conversations with family members around the age of 70, and she says many times they are still fairly healthy and independent at that age, but may soon need some extra support. When approaching these conversations, she says to be prepared to talk about any concerns you might have on your loved one's behalf.
I think you just need to do it with an open heart and an open mind, and you're not trying to give directives. You're trying to just understand where they're at.
Hayes says you should have these conversations as soon as possible instead of waiting for a crisis to occur. This could include a fall, poor driving, memory lapses, major weight loss, and forgetting to take medications or eat. If any of these things begin happening before you have a conversation with your loved one about their future, Hayes says it will become even more difficult to make a good decision. And she adds, if your family is gathering for the holidays, now is a good time to start having these conversations with your aging loved ones. At today's event, Hayes said you can actually get a toolkit that will help you start these conversations. Kyle, back to you.
All right, Sydney, thank you. That event, it will be today at 2 and 6 o'clock over at the Quincy Senior Center and is free to attend for anyone.